If you've run into problems qualifying for a mortgage and your lender is saying it's because your debt to income ratio is too high, you came to the right place. In this video, I'm going to talk about strategies to bring an unruly debt to income ratio into line and help you qualify for the loan you need to buy a home you love. There are two reasons you may want to improve your debt to income ratio, and the first is just to qualify for a loan. If your DTI is too high to get a loan for the home you want, nothing else really matters. But even if you have no problem qualifying for a loan, you still may want to improve your debt to income ratio. Your DTI can play a role in the cost of your loan, specifically the cost of mortgage insurance if you're putting less than 20% down. Now, before I really get rolling, I want to mention that this is the last video in a 6-part series that I recorded covering debt to income ratios from every angle, what goes into them, how they're calculated, debt to income ratio rules for different loan options, and a whole bunch more. If you stumbled on this video first, you may want to check out the others. I'll put a link in the caption to the full playlist. The details in the other videos may actually, if you are struggling to make your own debt to income ratio work, they may help you find a path forward for your own loan. And while you're rummaging around in the video description, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Okay, so your DTI is too high. What levers can we pull? There are 3 elements in play: your income, your debt, and the loan program itself. More income or less debt are ways we can directly change or improve your DTI. Changes involving your loan program can go a few ways. You and your lender could try to massage the numbers while sticking with the same loan option, or you could entirely change loan programs. A new loan program could help your DTI in a few ways. A different program might allow a higher DTI. A change to a loan program with a lower interest rate could lower your payment, which would improve your DTI, or your lender could look for a program with guidelines that allow more of your income to be included or permit discounting or maybe excluding some of your debt. Finding a solution to these sticky debt to income ratio problems requires more than a little bit of knowledge of loan guidelines. So it'll be difficult for you, if you're not a mortgage professional, to DIY this part of things entirely. And I love that you found this video, and I hope that it gives you some ideas. But honestly, if you're working with a lender and you feel like it's on you to figure out how to fix your DTI, it really might be time for a second opinion. Having this kind of knowledge and knowing how to put it to work for you and helping you understand it is honestly literally why you hire a lender. And you're welcome to give me a call anytime. My contact information is in the caption below. Although I'm not going to be able to diagnose and fix every DTI issue with this video, they're just so specific to everybody's own situation, I want to show you some of the ideas and a bit of the problem-solving process that a lender should be using to work with you to work your debt-to-income ratio into line. So I guess I should just say buckle up. We're about to kind of get in the weeds and a little mortgage nerdy up in here. Now, as I swing into action trying to fix a DTI that's too high, I always want to know what I'm dealing with. How far out of line are we? Getting an idea of how much we need to move the needle will often point me in the direction of a solution. I'm going to stick with the example from our earlier videos, and if you've not watched those, here's a little bit of a recap. We're going to say you have monthly income of $10,000 and that you pay another $1,000 to other debts: credit cards, car loans, and student loans. We're going to say we ran Fannie Mae's automated underwriting system and discovered that we need your debt to income ratio to be 45% or less. $10,000 of income times 45% debt to income ratio gives us $4,500 of total debt allowed, minus $1,000 of other debt, leaves us with $3,500 for a maximum PITI. And that PITI is all in for your new loan, including the mortgage, taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance, and any homeowners association dues. Now we're going to say you're putting 20% down, and we're assuming that the rate on a 30-year loan is 6.5%. Now at the end of the prior video, you found a townhome that you love with an asking price of $550, and you want to put 20% down and borrow $440,000. Let's see where that puts our payment using the amortization calculator linked in the caption. On a $440,000 principal balance at a 6.5% rate on a 30-year loan, that's 360 months for the loan term, the mortgage payment works out to $2,780. And to that, we have to add property taxes, which we're going to assume are $500 a month, homeowners insurance at $100 a month, and $300 of homeowners association dues for the townhome. And that's a grand total, or PITI, of $3,680. Now, we already calculated that we need to keep your PITI at $3,500 a month. So, $3,680 is too high. So what do? Let's start trying some stuff. So first, let's see if there are any options to add to your qualifying income. I always like knowing exactly how far off base I am, so I want to figure that out. We're trying to qualify you for a payment of $3,680, and you have $1,000 of other debt, which puts us at $4,680 for your total monthly obligations. Now, our maximum debt-to-income ratio is 45%, so through the magic of algebra, we can divide your total monthly debt, $4,680, by 45%, or 0.45, our maximum debt-to-income ratio, to learn that we need $10,400 a month to keep you at a 45% DTI. Now we documented $10,000 a month, so we're $400 a month short. Is there anything we missed? Maybe we didn't document some bonus or overtime or child support or a side hustle. If we can find that extra $400 a month of income, we could be on our way. But what if we've already documented all of your income? Then we're going to have to move on to finding another solution. So let's look at the debt side of the equation next. Again, it's a good way to start by, I think, getting the lay of the land. We're trying to find a path to qualify you for a $3,680 payment with $1,000 of other debt, and that total is $4,680. If we divide that by your $10,000 of income, we get a debt-to-income ratio of 46.8, and we need to be at 45%. So your debts are 1.8% of your income higher than the loan allows. So how much debt do we need to get rid of? Well, we can do this figuring in dollars, or we can do it as a percent. In dollars, we would just subtract the maximum payment you qualify for from the higher payment for the house you like. As a percent, we're going to subtract the DTI allowed from the higher DTI at which we find ourselves. And I personally kind of prefer working with percentages. I think my logic for this is that the DTI itself is a percentage, so by working with percentages, I feel like I'm staying in the native language of the DTI, the problem I'm trying to solve. But whichever path we take, whether we go dollars or percents, we're going to land at the same number. If we take $3,680, the payment we're at, minus the $3,500 target payment, that's $180. And if we take $10,000 of income times 1.8%, we're going to get that same $180. So we need to reduce your payments by $180 a month. Now, we could theoretically just have you pay a larger down payment, but it would take an extra $29,000 to reduce your payment enough to get your DTI down to 45%. So you'd have to reduce your loan from $440,000 down to $411,000, which is kind of a ouchy kind of number for most folks. So is there an option that isn't going to take so much cash? Well, one obvious path, since we're dealing with a debt-to-income ratio, is to pay off some debt. By eliminating a debt, we can remove the payment on it from your debt-to-income ratio. Let's make some additional assumptions and say that your $1,000 of monthly payment is made up of a $6,000 car loan with a $500 payment, a $1,500 balance on a credit card with a $50 minimum payment, a $7,500 balance on a credit card with a $150 minimum payment, and a $30,000 student loan. The student loan's in deferral, so we're gonna follow Fannie Mae's rules, which require that we count 1% of the balance as the payment on a deferred student loan. When we think about paying off debt to lower a DTI, there's a shortcut I wanna share that helps find the most cost-efficient, or really you can kind of think of it, I guess, as cash-efficient path to reducing your debt-to-income ratio. And that's to divide each payment by the outstanding loan balance. And if we do this, we'll find that the $500 car payment is 8.3% of its $6,000 balance. The $50 credit card payment is 3.3% of its $1,500 balance. The $150 credit card payment is 2% of its $7,500 balance. And the $300 payment that Fannie Mae requires that we use for your student loan is 1%, because that's the rule, 1%. So paying off your car looks pretty promising. We get the most bang for our buck by actually a really wide margin. And when we eliminate your car payment, we get rid of $500 of monthly debt. That's more than going to cover the $180 a month we're trying to find. But paying off your car would mean you have to find an extra $6,000 in cash. Now, we could explore restructuring your loan. We could maybe switch from a conventional Fannie Mae loan over to FHA. FHA loans allow a debt-to-income ratio sometimes as high as 56.99%. So our 46% DTI should be no problem. But FHA loans come with fairly expensive mortgage insurance, and you're putting 20% down. On a conventional loan, you wouldn't have to pay any mortgage insurance. A switch to FHA could work, but it's going to be expensive and pretty unappealing. So let's explore sticking with a conventional loan. Now, it may sound like a crazy idea, but we could actually lower your down payment. Now, how is borrowing more money going to make your debt-to-income ratio better? It's because a smaller down payment could free up cash you could use to pay off other debts, like your car loan. Adding the $6,000 you need to pay off your car loan to your mortgage would increase your monthly payment by $38. And that's not too bad. But this change means you're putting now less than 20% down. We made the loan bigger. It's over 80% of your purchase price, which is going to trigger a requirement to pay mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance would add another $35 to $40 to your payment. You can cancel mortgage insurance in the future, but for starters, you'd be trading an extra $70 to $80 a month to get rid of a $500 car payment. And that gets the job done, and it's not too terrible, but you'd really hope to put 20% down and avoid mortgage insurance. So let's put a pin in this idea and keep exploring. Now, maybe we could lower your interest rate. It is possible to buy a lower interest rate for an upfront cost called discount points. Discount points are a form of prepaid interest. Paying points at closing buys a permanently lower interest rate and monthly payment. But to lower your payment by $180, we would have to bring your rate down from 6.5 to about 5.87. The cost to buy a lower rate varies pretty tremendously actually, but reducing your rate by 0.6 or 0.7% might cost something close to 2% of your loan amount. That'd be $8,800, and that'll take more cash than just paying off your car loan and make less of a difference in your overall monthly payment. There's also another really important strategic conversation that we always want to have when it comes to paying points, which is whether or not it makes sense. They're non-refundable, so it's really important to calculate how long it's going to take for you to recoup the cost and actually benefit from that extra upfront expense that comes in a chunk that's going to lower your monthly payment and pay you back in small installments over time. If you think, for example, that interest rates are going to fall to a point that you'll be able to refinance to a new loan, paying a lot of points on this loan to buy a lower rate may not really be a good idea. You could save that money, keep your powder dry, and use it to pay for that refinance. So what else could we do? Another option could be to switch your loan from Fannie Mae to Freddie Mac. Fannie Mae requires that we include a payment equal to 1% of the balance of a student loan in deferral in your debt-to-income ratio. But Freddie Mac only requires a 0.5% of the balance monthly payment. And like I said, some of this just requires knowing loan guidelines. But that subtle difference in the guidelines reduces the qualifying payment on your student loan from $300 to $150. Now we're looking for a $180 reduction in payment, so that $150 is close, but not quite enough. But what if we also had you pay off your smaller credit card? That would only set you back $1,500. We'd eliminate another $50 of payments. That gets you over the hump. You're now saving $200 a month. We needed $180. That sounds like a solid plan, actually. But is there anything else that might work and take even less cash? As it turns out, there is. As I mentioned earlier, it's hard to diagnose these situations without having some knowledge of loan guidelines. This is true of that Fannie Mae Freddie Mac student loan guideline too. But if you watched all the videos in this playlist, you might have picked up what you need to know here. In the second video, the one about debts, I mentioned that debts with fewer than 10 payments remaining can usually be excluded from your debt-to-income ratio. You owe $6,000 on a car loan that has a $500 monthly payment. If we had you pay your car loan down by $1,000 from $6,000 to $5,000, we can sneak you under that 10 payment threshold. That brings your DTI into line for just an extra $1,000. And here's how that math is going to look. A $2,780 loan payment, P&I, plus $500 tax, plus $100 insurance, plus $300 of HOA dues, plus $500 of payments on other debts, now that we can exclude your car payment, equals $4,180 in total debts. Divide that by your $10,000 income, and we're at a 41.8 DTI, comfortably below 45%. We're good to go. All the concepts I've talked about in this playlist are universal, but everyone's situation is so unique. So if you have questions or if you need any assistance, I'd be thrilled to talk with you and hear about your goals and help with the financing for your home. There's a link in the description below to schedule a call. And if you watched all these videos in the playlist, I would love it if you would comment below. I'm super curious to know if you made it all the way through and if you did, what you think. Thanks so much for watching.